Tony, MVP or Sway for me. And if you don't agree with this, tell us why. All right, so let me set this up for you, Tony. So for anybody watching who doesn't know the term dirt sheets, right? Just means wrestling media that covers rumors and behind the scenes information. So I'll be honest, Tony, I'm a major fan. I bring a lot of stories to MVP pretty much weekly.
Stories I've answered. Did this related? I was like,
yeah, weekly, every Monday at 12 noon, 1 p.m. Eastern, here on Marking Out with MVP and Dwayne Swayze. And I know you've never shied away from engaging with, the dirt sheets through long form interviews and even contributing to them many, many, many years ago. Okay, so an MVP has been, pretty clear that he doesn't love that world the way that we do. So from your perspective, when dirt sheets are done right, how do they help the business? And when they're done wrong, how do they hurt it? And if you could call it overall, do they help more than they hurt?
Yeah, I think overall there is more help than hurt. I think there can be at times misinformation or even disinformation where people put incorrect things out into the world in wrestling for their own benefit. And I find that there's sometimes a lot of truth and sometimes there's not in some of these stories. And when you know them firsthand, it can definitely be interesting. I think where there is a net benefit and a lot of good things, there's so much wrestling in the world. And for me, this is where I learned a lot about the international wrestling. We're talking about Japanese wrestling. It's where I first read about and learned about a lot of the wrestling happening in Japan and in Mexico, which I'm a big fan of the Lucha Libre, and I learned a lot from wrestling newsletters about that. And then you mentioned contributing. I mean, the extent of my contributions would be sending in results from shows that I went to. But a good example of that is I wrote that I really enjoyed when I saw on Super Bowl Sunday. It's probably very cold in Champaign, Illinois, the first week of February 2007. It's Super Bowl Sunday. The Bears and the Colts are playing in the Super Bowl, and Champaign is like the corner of an L between Indianapolis and Chicago. So the teams that are geographically the closest to this town are both playing in the Super Bowl. It's a tough day, and there's maybe 1,500 people in the building, and MVP and Chris Benoit beat the hell out of each other and had this fantastic match. And I said that, and said that this was another level from anything else on the show. This is a very good match. These guys wrestled really hard and set an excellent standard. And when you're a young wrestler coming out, I think that it can help build your reputation hearing about these things. So when I heard that the Super Junior was going to be on streaming, and it was like 16 years ago, first time I've seen Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Prince Devitt, and saw some familiar faces in this, like Taka Michinoku and Tiger Mask, and people that I had seen wrestle. So I absolutely think that there are benefits. You can read about wrestlers, and then you go out and you want to watch them, and then they could be very influential on you. And there definitely are positives and negatives, but I definitely think the positives would far outweigh the negatives when it comes to wrestling newsletters and wrestling media.
My take has always been this, from a fan's perspective. Of course you want to peek behind the curtain. Yeah, of course you want to know, the goings on. And I feel like you don't need to know that. That's not for you to know. Now, reporting on this event happened, this many people attended, these were the matches, opinions on, which matches were the best and the worst. All of that is great. But the rumor mongering and the gossiping that takes place, the negativity that comes out of that. And I feel like, there are lots of pro wrestlers that also have misused the dirt sheets to their own benefit by putting misinformation out there about rivals or making an agreement. Well, I'll tell you this about this person if you talk me up.
Yeah, I agree.
And I do get the benefits. If you are a young wrestler coming up, the way the game has changed now, you need that. You need for them to talk about you. But I feel like then what happens is they're influenced to change their wrestling. Instead of trying to wrestle for the crowd, they're wrestling for the critics.
I think there are a number of wrestlers in pro wrestling and a number of media members where there are thousands of smart wrestling fans who could probably connect the dots and say, like, I think that wrestler is a source for that media person. I think that wrestler is a source for that media person. They only say nice things about them. And if you connect the dots, like, I bet that wrestler probably talks to that guy a lot. And I get that. And, there can be good things about that. But like you said, sometimes you have to question, when certain reports come out because of who's involved in it. And sometimes there's things that have no benefit to anybody, that have no truth to them. Like there was that weird thing. What was that thing that was that BS rumor that you had some personal problem with Speedball? That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Like Speedball. Yeah. I had heat with Speedball.
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from?
I have no idea.
Who made that up?
Stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Problem with that dude at all?
Yeah, I've never seen anybody have a problem with Speedball. I mean,
He's a nice guy, right?
in a wrestling ring, the things happen, right? It's a competitive sport, so that people are fighting. I get that, but like as far as conducting yourself in a locker room, conducting yourself as an athlete, everybody likes Speedball.
There was another one that went around some time ago that I'm like, what? Who? And why would you report something like that without verifying it? You know, so I don't know. Just my take has always been my belief. I understand from a fan's perspective why you want to peek behind the curtain. From my perspective, when it's journalism, when it's covering the facts, the happenings, historians, that kind of stuff, I'm cool with. But when you get into the rumor mongering, the gossiping, I feel like a lot of these people are leeches on my industry. You're a parasite making money on my passion, my profession. And yeah, there's some good.
There's probably more. I mean, you got to look at the flip side of it. I take a much more positive view than that. Now, I think
so much nicer guy.
There's different ethics in journalism, and I do think that to your point, the sourcing, verifying of rumors, there's a much higher standard for reporting things in football than there is in wrestling. The kind of sourcing you need to report what is just a rumor, like these locker room rumors, you don't see real football writers writing these kinds of things. In wrestling, the journalistic standard is far lower.
There is no standard.
But there are the benefits from the coverage that you get, just like with, I think, in any other sport where you want to have the top writers talking about what they see, giving their opinions. I don't always agree with the football writers. I don't always agree with the wrestling writers, but I respect that people follow something year round, especially wrestling, which really truly is year round. But if you follow the sport, and there are, just like in football or wrestling, I think it's the similar thing where there are some writers that set a higher standard for their writing and for their ethics.
And I'll chime in with the fan perspective real quick. So what I look like, or what I think, is that dirt sheets are to wrestling what fantasy football is to the NFL, right? So it allows for me to be a participant and not just a viewer. So I get a chance to, almost like become an insider and see what you guys are doing, what the booker is creating and what the wrestler's doing. And I get a chance to participate. And when you feel like an insider, you don't miss episodes every Wednesday or Saturday.
Thank you.
You know what? I mean, that's from the fans' perspective. Like, okay, yeah.
You guys vote Tony, MVP, or Sway for Dwayne Swayze.
Oh, I know they're going to be with you guys. Subscribe to Marking Out with MVP and Dwayne Swayze. New episodes drop every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern.